South Korea's top court has brought the country's prime minister back into office. But President Yoon Suk Yeol's impeachment ruling is still up in the air, with speculation that the ruling may not be made until April. We are joined by Professor Song Se-ryun this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Professor Song, I'd like to recap Prime Minister Han Duck-soo's impeachment ruling with you first. Do you think the court's dismissal has provided any clue for President Yoon's impeachment ruling, or is it still hard to tell? What do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell. The court did a good job keeping it under wraps. The court ruling confined itself just enough to decide on the Prime Minister Han's case. What we were looking for was their ruling or language that has to do with the involvement in the martial law announcement in December 3rd. But they decided that the Prime Minister Han was not involved enough without ruling on the substance or the validity of the martial law case. I mean, other accounts about the special prosecutors, post-martial law governance, and constitutional court justices appointment, those are important and interesting points, but did not really indicate any direction for the insurrection charges. However, I think that there are some indications. Obviously, it was not an 8-0 decision.
Right.
And there was a Justice Chung Kye-sun who thought the actions he's taken is grave enough to uphold the impeachment for the Prime Minister. On the other hand, there was another Justice Kim Bo-kyung who thought that the Prime Minister did nothing wrong constitutionally. So there are some spectrums here that might be reflected in the President Yoon's case. But even so, these are speculations.
Well, as soon as he returned to office, Han is under this pressure to appoint the opposition recommended Constitutional Court Justice candidate Ma Eun-hyuk as the 9th justice. Is there any possibility that Han will appoint Ma anytime soon?
Well, I think not likely. He asked for the bipartisan agreement on the constitutional figure, Justice Ma. He got impeached for it at the National Assembly, but we know now that the Constitutional Court is not willing to uphold the impeachment for that ground. So Han might not change his position on this matter and still ask for the bipartisan agreement. But even if he acts, I think the President Yoon's impeachment trial is too advanced at this point. So the question itself of the involvement of Justice Ma might be moot already.
Well, Professor Song, I do have to mention that everything we've been experiencing since last December is unprecedented. So I have to ask you, what happens if Han does appoint Ma eventually? What happens to the ruling for Yoon?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's unprecedented, so it could change. President Ma joining will mean, on the positive side, it's a full bench and the legitimacy is restored, and pressure from the opposition party and the Constitutional Court itself would disappear. However, as I said before, for the purpose of President Yoon's impeachment trial, they finished their hearing phase of it in February 25th. So it was a month away, and they've been having deliberations nonstop until now. So even if he gets appointed, I think the prudent action is to recuse himself or be set aside so that all the justices who have been involved from the start finish the job. If not, I think there would be very big disruptions. So I think that the court is willing to take steps to avoid those kind of disruptions.
Well, here's another variable. 2 of the 8 justice terms end on April 18th, as we all know. If we pass that deadline, what happens to the ruling for President Yoon's impeachment? Or do you think everything will be wrapped up before April 18th?
Well, that's the disruption, actually, I was alluding to. 2 justices coming off the bench. That'll leave 6 justices. Even if the Justice Ma joins, it's going to be well short of the constitutional requirement to go ahead with the proceedings. So they'll have to wait for another for several justices to join in to fill in the gaps. That could disrupt 180-day guidelines to decide a case. And with the political wranglings that had happened before, it is a very uncertain situation whether any justice who can be appointed in a timely manner. So I think that we saw that the Constitutional Court was very mindful of this, and it actually seemed like they were hurrying themselves to finish this proceedings well before April 18th. I don't think that purpose or that intent has changed. So full expectation at this point is that they'll finish the proceedings and make the announcement well before April 18th.
Well, plus, patience is running out with the court yet to announce a ruling date for President Yoon. Now, some say the verdict may even come next month in April. What's your take on this?
Well, the beginning of the interview, I said the court did a good job keeping it under wraps and keeping it confidential, and it should be, because all the speculations we do on YouTube and the news media are just that, speculations. The deliberation of the constitutional matter is amongst themselves, and the Constitution allows that process to be like that. And only thing we can speculate at this point is that because the deliberation part is ongoing for about a month, probably they talked about it enough. And any day now, they could say, well, we talked about it enough, so let's announce. And it's not a difficult thing at this point because there's no mandate to reach a consensus on the either side. I mean, of course, they have to have the 6 justices to have the impeachment. But on the other side, if they have a genuine differences, they could say, well, we didn't reach 6 justices, so it is what it is, and they could announce it. So I think they could do that after they decide that they have talked about it enough.
Well, on top of the impeachment trial, President Yoon Suk Yeol also has to navigate through his insurrection trial. And there was the second preparatory hearing yesterday, which he didn't show up for. What kind of strategies do you think he is, looking for or actually playing out right now?
Well, at this point, it's a pre-trial proceedings. So the President Yoon showing up will not add any value at this point. Probably he'll try to make his appearances sparse so that he can control his supporters' actions. But at this point, the pretrial proceedings are when the judges and lawyers get together and talk about the housekeeping matters. How many witnesses, who's going to go first, how long they're going to go first. Those kind of details are something that the lawyers can efficiently talk about it amongst themselves with the judge and not have the President Yoon himself get involved. So it's nothing strange.
Professor Song, thank you so much for your insights and your time this morning. We appreciate it as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.